Hey guys, and welcome back to my healing analysis series, and in this video we will be going into Midgardsormr. Let me start off by saying this is not a perfect run by any means, but however I don't want to wait for a perfect run just to upload a video on this, so bear with me on some of the mistakes in the video. I'll make sure to point them out so that you understand, don't copy this. I'm also going to split this video up into two parts because, again, we haven't had a perfect run where the whole run is perfect, so I'm going to split the video into like phase 1 was perfect in this video and phase 2 was near perfect in that video, and that's what I'm going to do. So starting off here, let's look at this spreadsheet. So again, we have the time column, the ability column, the warrior cooldowns, paladin cooldowns, DPS cooldowns, healing cooldowns. We have the damage in the fight and unmitigated values. So Talon does 90k, Ogmorn does 13k per hit, and there's 4 hits, I believe. Earthshaker does 30k, Thunderstorm does 36k, Northern Cross does 17k, Time Memorial does 5k, Okrai does 10k, Rhyme Wreath does 19k. Is that Wreath or Wrath? Knowing Final Fantasy XIV means probably Wrath, and I just sound like a dumbass. Protostar does 20k times 3. And then we have our healing values part. So Earthly Star does 20k, 36k, Collective is 4.5k a tick for 23k total. If you extend Collective, it is 36k total. Aspected Benefit is 6.5k to 4.5k a tick, 35k total. If you largesse it, it's 58k total. That's not extending it. Aspected Helios is 17k total. Lady of Crowns is 15k. Central Dignity does 25k on average. Helios is 10 to 16k. Fey Union is 10k a tick. Indom's 15k. Embrace is 5k. Whispering Dawn is 2k. However, we're not going to be looking at Whispering Dawn because we're not using it in this fight. Adlo Deploy is 18k to 20k depending on raid buffs or healing buffs. Excog is 30k. Sucker is 12.5k total with a 7.5k shield. So let's take a brief look at Midgard. As we can see, this spreadsheet is a lot more empty than like Chaos. Like if we just go to Chaos, there's a lot of stuff like missing, you know? And the reason for that is O10S is probably the least intensive fight Square Enix has ever released, aside from Fanatrain. There's just not a lot of damage going out because here you see this 515 to 629. There's no damage going out at that period. Absolutely zero. There's auto attacks, but they're not deadly enough to warrant anything to worry about, which is pretty unbelievable, right? From a design choice. Why is there no damage? Because you have to focus on mechanics? Like, I guess. But with proper star usage and collective usage, you can get through the first phase without any AoE heals. So let's just get right into the video. This is the first half of the video we're going to use. So starting off, just normal opener stuff. Gave the tank an Adlo here. He has Conva up and Min for that extra shield usage on Pole. And this is just going to be normal opener stuff. Not much to worry about here. It's better to stand right here just because it minimizes movement, but if you stand right here, it doesn't matter as a scholar because you're running it anyways. But just stand right here. We have Troubadour going up at this point. This is to cover the Ogmorn damage. We also do a place cancel embrace on the warrior or the paladin to proc Divine Veil. We have collective and shake. So collectively, we have shake, veil, Troubadour, and collective mitigating this first Ogmorn. And because this is the first Ogmorn, I think it does 1 less than the one at the end of the fight. It does 4, okay. And then, so what this does is this collective will top us back up to full HP by the time the next mechanic happens, and that next mechanic is Earthshakers at 130. So we have about 50 seconds to get topped back up, which is a pretty hefty amount of time, as you can see. We're already about topped off. Fair will do the rest of the Forgot to place my fairy at the beginning. Replace her in the direct center of the boss. It's very important that you place her at the direct center. She will not be hit by any AoEs. So here, let's get into our tank cooldowns, right? So for tail end, what we do is we have the warrior, vengeance, rampart, raw intuition, and feint. And we have the DPS feint, the first tail end. This makes it so basically the warrior takes negligible damage. He drops pretty low here, but that's just because he wasn't topped off. And then we have the paladin tank swap, and he's going to hollowed ground the next one. And the reason we hollowed ground this one is because if the paladin doesn't get picked for the third one, it's basically a wasted hollowed ground, right? He won't use it. So to combat this issue, we have the paladin hollowed ground the second one. That way, if he doesn't get chosen, we can invul in the third one as well. So yeah, the reason we do that is just to make sure we get as much cooldowns as possible. If the paladin gets picked for the third one, he super invuls it with sentinel and rampart, and we have feint on it. Here we have Rin placing his star. So he places his star at the first spinny thingy. This is going to be Earthshakers. And the reason Rin stars in this fight, it's the kind of the only fight where you have to really off place your stars to get full value. I see a lot of people saying, oh, this is a tank only star fight, which is not true. With proper star usage, you can get all the damage in this fight, so you don't have to do any AoE heals as a co-healer. So, Earthshakers go out, we go inside, star pops. Back to full HP after the Earthshaker. And this is to prep us for the Thunderstorms. The Thunderstorm does a lot of damage. Actually does more damage than Earthshaker, just closer to 40k, 36k. Which is a lot of damage, and if people miss this star, then they're in danger. Paladin invuls the tank buster. We go to our designated spots. And this next time, Immemorial. People are going to be pretty low, but it's going to be okay because this actually does not enough damage to even be close to lethal. Time Immemorial happens. Rin gets ready to place his star. Star is placed. We do Fey Union on the target that gets the main tank debuff. So in this case, it's the Paladin. He cooldowns it. Fey Union's up. It's a 30-second Fey Union. So he's pretty safe here. The star will pop right before the Northern Cross to top us for the incoming damage. We see. So we're back to full HP with proper star usage. Again, this is very important that you delay your stars in this order so you can cover all this AoE damage to save multiple uses of your resources. Next incoming is going to be... Actually, hold on. Let me switch here. This is the part where we want to switch because I changed the way I handle this part. So we're going to open up here and we're going to go back to that spot. So we're around Time Immemorial, Northern Cross. Here we go. In this video, the warrior got it, so he home gangs it. As you can see here, I'm blowing all my stacks as quickly as possible because I am indeed going to dissipate early so we can get onto raid buffs. So I wait to see if it's in or out first. If it's in, I go ahead and dissipate a GCD earlier. And do this little motion where I slide cast right as I touch energy drain, so I lose minimal GCDs. And the reason we're doing this is because we're holding our 2 minutes for 3 minutes here, because if you do that, they'll still be back up for afterwards, so you should always be doing that. So chain goes up, battle litany goes up, devotion, battle voice. And because of that dissipation, the reason we want to do it early is so we can resummon just in time for dragon phase. And this phase is pretty self-explanatory. So what we do is we have Rin collective on top of the... He collectives on top of the tank that's going to be getting the dragon. He aspected benefits them, and he time dilates that. So they have about a 30-second regen, which pretty much keeps them top through the whole phase. At the very end of the phase, we switch to where I XCOG, and then I Fey Union or XCOG if he needs it, and then I Fey Union him to keep him top for the rest of the damage. There's not much going on here. Paladin's pretty comfy. This last one can get pretty deadly, but it's not enough to kill him. Alright, here what we do an add low onto the warrior, deploy it. If it crits, it's good. I get to steal all the healing from Rin. If it doesn't, then I just do an ET Sucker afterwards just to be safe. Divine Veil goes up here just so we have it for later on, and there's really no spot to use it besides here, and it's free mitigation, so you might as well use it. If you're LB cheesing, that's a whole different story though. That's a whole different story if you're LB cheesing. So we just do Sucker after each one. We just do an ET Sucker here to steal some HPS from Rin. We don't want him to have HPS. And this is just a full opener. There's literally no damage going out here. I would skip it, but I guess it would be pretty valuable to see just how we handle this. From a scholar standpoint, we're saving our movement tools so that we can actually keep casting without losing any GCDs. And then we have Exaflares. So this is about another 30 seconds of downtime. This is the hardest phase of the fight, honestly. If someone gets hit by an Exaflare, it can make the Morn after pretty spooky. So here we have our Dragoon got hit by an Exaflare. So what we're going to do is we're going to supplement a Sucker before the Morn just to keep it safe. If you don't, he has the risk of dying. Even though we super mitigate it, it's still very scary if someone gets a Vuln stack. So here, Fey Union, the tank. It's another very long Fey Union. We have shields up. Actually, I might be a genius. Okay, it looks like if you Sucker, I think this is the only poll I actually got to test this, because I was looking at it the other day, and if you Sucker right at the end of the Exaflare, it'll last until this part, which is good. So do that instead of using a Sucker. Let me rewind that because I was being an idiot. So here we had Sucker shields, which you can always have. You have Divine Veil. We had Collective, we had Shake, and we had Passage of Arms. That alone is enough to just make this a pretty easy cakewalk. And here's where the sloppy comes in play. Warrior gets hit by that because they weren't stacked up properly. Collective is topping us back up in time for the Earthshakers. Paladin dies here because he didn't have any cooldowns, but the boss is dead, so it doesn't. So there's that. All right. So let's go back. Let's go back and look at the spreadsheet and see what's really going on. So for the first set of AoE damage is at 43 seconds. So to counter this, what we do is we have Rin place a star in his opener for extra DPS, because we don't need star until 120. We don't need it to put down to 120. So we look at Akmorn, and it's 43 seconds. So we have Shake, Veil, Troubadour, Collective to counter that. I think we have Passage as well, but that's not written down, so let me write that down. So we have that, and the next set of damage is at 130. So to complement that, we have Collective ticking afterwards to top us up for that. So at around 130, we are topped off. Let me go back to 130. So we're topped off before the Earthshakers. Star is down. Take about 27k, right? So if we look at the spreadsheet, we see Earthshakers is at 130 and the next set of damage is at 155. So we have about 25 seconds to get into that threshold value of HP to where we can live. And this is clear. The reason I wasn't showing it was because the star went off early. So to kind of fix that, I do an end on here. So theoretically, star would have went off. We would have been topped off for the thunderstorm. Okay, we're at about 10 to 15k HP value right now. What is the next set of AoE damage? At 207, it's time immemorial, and it's only 5k. So basically, this is negligible. So where's the real set? It's about at 251 or 237 is the next set of AoE damage, and it's about 17k damage. So what we're going to do to counter this is we mapped out our star timing to where star goes down and pops right before the Northern Cross damage to top us off for that. So we're top for the Northern Cross. About dropped to 38k. It's very important that the DPS don't get hit by Akrai here. They risk dying. So Rhyme Wrath is the next set of AoE damage, and that is not until about 340. We have Collective on the main tank here to worry about the Breath, the Autos, and the Wrath. The DPS aren't really in any trouble here. By the time they get low enough to where the next one would be scary, they're already in star range, so that pops. So here, if you sucker right as the boss comes back, these sucker shields will last until the Akmorn, which is really good to know. Shake, Passage, Collective, Veil. We don't really come into any sort of danger here. By the time, so if you're worried about the next set of damage, which would be Earthshaker or Thunderstorm, the Collective will top you back up in time for that mechanic. See, as you see, everyone's already at the threshold to survive the next in-out mechanic. I hope that video helped you guys. This is probably shorter. Doesn't look like it actually. I'm looking at the time and it's at 23 minutes. Holy crap! I need to get better at condensing my words, but hopefully this helped you in some way. O10S is not a very healing intensive fight. 5:15 to 7 minutes is literal downtime for healing. There's nothing to do. You should not be casting a single healing GCD during that time. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you guys for watching, supporting the videos. If you have not already, please subscribe and hit that bell icon at the top. And I will see you guys on my next video. Peace.